All right. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Khora Conversations. My name is Yuli Lee with Khora Collective, and I am so excited all of you are joining us today. Once a month, we're going to have what we call Khora Conversations live webinars. And this is where we invite incredible guests to help unpack real leadership lessons, uh, insights, challenges, breakthroughs that shape how we lead. And if you didn't know, at Khora Collective, our vision is to create a kingdom culture of leadership that is generous and spacious for all Asian American Christian ministry and marketplace leaders across all generations. And
Yes.
so, yeah, so our live webinars are really a unique way to invite voices you might not get to hear from often, but whose lived experiences and leadership lessons can help us think differently and help us grow intentionally to
Mm.
lead with greater impact. And so I'm excited for you today because we have a very, very special guest. Um, Her name is Jennifer Suen Chen, and she's also the co-founder, one of the co-founders of Khora Collective. I'm going to do a little intro and then Jen, you could say hi and feel free to say whatever you want. But I just
Sounds good.
wanted this to intro you in a special way. She's not only co-founder of Khora Collective, but she's also a spiritual director to many, many people in both ministry and in the marketplace, um, all across the world. I feel like she's always meeting with people, guiding them and really shepherding them to abide with the Spirit. And she is author of a brand new book that launched this week. And the book is called Dim Sum and Faith: How Stories Form Our Souls. And her book is going to be the topic of our conversation today. Jen is also a dear, dear friend of mine. I love her so much. She is the kind of friend I've always wanted and I've always prayed for. So I'm so thankful that I get to have a friend like Jen. And I learned so much wisdom from her, woman of God, um, woman of character. I couldn't be more happy for her to share her voice with the world through her book and through this webinar today. So, Jen, welcome.
Thank you, Yuli. That was so, so kind. And right back at you. I'm so thankful for you. And we're being serious on this webinar, but off script and off camera, we're pretty silly. So
We
I'm
are.
grateful for just friendship in this season and the gift of being able to journey together, especially
Yeah.
with Core Collective.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I would love to hear actually a little backstory of um, your journey in authoring your book. Um,
Mm.
and just tell us a little bit about, what was in your heart when you thought, I need to write a book now. And
Mm.
kind of a little bit of the process of what happened along the way and how you birthed this amazing piece of work.
Mm. Thank you, Yuli. I think it's been a journey. It I was thinking this week, had I written a book, a nonfiction book on like bees or caterpillars or something, it would have felt like research and theory based, and I would have, concrete stuff to external information to be able to turn to. And writing this book on how our stories form our souls, I had to like turn inward and kind of mine my own stories and kind of sift through my growth journey, my formation, my spiritual formation journey with God. And probably about 11 years ago, my husband and I went through an intensive like leadership 360.
Mm.
We had been in senior leadership in our organization for a while and was grateful for the opportunity to kind of lean into the space. Kind of scary too to get, 9 people to write a 360 of evaluation of our leadership and who we are. And when I sat down with the coaches and counselors, my first session, they looked at me and they had this big notebook with all the stuff I'd filled out.
Wow.
And they said, "You picked the right people." And I think, there was a part of me that was like, I'm glad. And yet, what did they say? And it was so loving of colleagues and friends to reflect on that with on our lives with us. And I think from that place, one of my on my game plan, next 10 years, I'd written write a book. Didn't think much of it, tucked it away. I was in the middle of parenting teenagers at the time and thought, I love speaking more than I don't think I'm a great writer. Um, and I think as an Asian American woman, I think it's just easy to be like, yeah, that's for other people.
Yeah.
Who would even want to read what I wrote? The ways we talk to ourselves often are not so kind. So it's just been a journey of just faith. And then honestly, hearing a quiet whisper from the spirit, him saying, Jen, would you write?
Mm.
Would you write what I give you? And would you offer it to my body?
Wow.
And that has been like that singular word, like in that undercurrent as I've been on this journey, it's just been like, Holy Spirit's just saying, do this with me. Trust me with the outcome. So I never expected, honestly, to be where I am. I
Mm.
think it just starts out with little faith, a little
Yeah.
bit of faith and holding on to the Lord and feeling his hand in mine. And also just in the company of close friends who just, I have a very close friend that just said this, probably 20 years ago. She just said, Jen, you need to write one day. And, we were young and I just thought, yeah, that's funny. And so I'm grateful for just people who have encouraged me along the way to say your voice matters
Mm.
and have to try. So
Yeah.
here's me trying.
Yeah, I love that, Jen. I love the long arc of, like you said, God whispering to you and just
Mhm.
nudging you. And it so fits with who you are. As attune to the spirit, you just
Mhm.
follow God's lead. And I think that's, what I admire about you as a leader and what I hope for
Mhm.
in a lot of leaders I see around me, including myself,
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
consistently be attuned to the spirit.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you just never know. You might be writing a book one
That's
day.
right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Um, so I loved reading your book. It was so meaningful for me. I remember telling you it's a book that I carried around my house
Mm.
everywhere because I couldn't let go of it. I just wanted it
Mm.
everywhere with me. In fact, you might be the same after listening to this webinar. If so, I want to encourage you to buy 5 of the books because you just can leave it everywhere then. You don't have to carry it around. Um, and you ask this question in your book. So I'd love for you to answer it for all of us here. But you ask us this question, why are our stories and storytelling important to our spiritual
Mm.
formation? Um,
Mhm.
and also to leaders specifically. Um, Help us unpack that question a little bit. Why is it so important for us?
Mm. I think we don't completely understand the impact that the stories of our lived experiences have on the way we see ourselves,
Mm.
the way we see and know and understand who God is, and then see and understand others and our place in the world. I think the context that we experience, that we were born into. And so some of us were born into loving families and where we felt attuned to and safe. But I'd say most are born into pretty chaotic spaces. And because the world is, yeah, we're not born into a stagnant kind of space where growth is just done. It's like we're born into into a family that where parents are just evolving and growing and
Yeah.
forming and don't really know what they're doing. And then some are born into really painful moments where family, the biological mom and dad couldn't take care of them. And so you're born into a larger context, maybe grandparents, or maybe you were taken care of in an orphanage, or maybe like all of it
Yeah.
is part of this context, which I think we all think that we have the same thing, that we all grew up in the same way. And
Right.
while there are similar elements of each of our stories, so I think they're just different.
Yeah.
Um, so I think just stating that it feels necessary.
Mm.
It could feel like something that we would just take for granted.
Yeah.
Because when I say family, sometimes it's a word that triggers a great deal of pain. In a lot of the people that I do story work with, there's a lot of tears around mother, father figures.
Mm.
Sometimes it's grandparents that have been way more impactful. And then with them, especially as Asian Americans, like a migration story, like families moving countries and continents and leaving cultures, like all of it impacts us. So I think when I think about then our relationship with God,
Mhm.
well, while I might be able to say, I love God as my father, I have friends and colleagues, and I know people who cannot
Yeah.
relate to God as father. That feels harsh. The father figure feels, um, he feels angry. And
Mm.
I think instead of saying, what's wrong with you? I think when we can just like go, wow, our stories have impacted that. And um, God can hold us
Mm.
in whatever space that we're in.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good, Jen. I was thinking as you were talking that our stories can deepen our discernment
Yeah.
in how we love one another.
Mm,
Like
hmm.
oftentimes we try to figure out how to do that. Like, how can I love this
Yeah.
person? They're
Hmm.
so difficult or
Yeah.
frustrating.
Yeah.
But often there's a story behind that
Mm,
um, that perhaps we don't take the time to sit with or even
yeah.
ask questions around.
Yeah.
But I feel like
Hmm.
you're calling us to like this deeper kind of discernment um,
Mm,
through listening and receiving other
hmm.
people's stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's so meaningful for me, especially because I'm a discernment fan.
Mm,
um, yeah, I think it's one of the most important things we can do as leaders is to
yes.
constantly discern with God.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And just knowing others and ourselves through our stories, I think, like you said, is
Hmm.
so important. And in
Hmm.
your book, there's also a sentence that stood out to me. And I'm going to just quote that for everybody. You say, if God knows us, we do not need to be afraid of knowing ourselves.
Mm,
And that really struck me. Um,
mm.
and I wanted to ask you why you think so many of us are afraid of knowing ourselves. And could this be one of the problems in leadership
Mm,
today? I'm curious your thoughts.
yeah.
Yeah.
When um, I think in my own leadership journey, and then um, in coming alongside a lot of leaders, and then now in the area of leadership coaching and spiritual direction, I've heard a lot of stories. And I think whenever someone sits down and they begin to try to articulate what is going on, there's this look like, I'm a little bit afraid to say this. Like, if I say it, it might be true. But I think that we're all asking some very similar questions, no matter how old we are or how long we've been in leadership, or I think they're just basic human questions.
Yeah.
One is, am I loved?
Mm,
If you know me, you know who I really am, if you know my story, will you love me for it? Will you love me in spite of it? Will you stay? Right?
mm,
We're all looking for connection.
yes.
We're hardwired for it. And so I think this fear is that if I discover something about myself, it'll confirm that I'm not going to be okay, that I don't have what it takes,
Yeah.
that I like these are like even just those questions. Sometimes when I say, you're wondering if you're too much, right? How many of us wonder?
Yeah.
We've tried, especially as Asian Americans, we've bridged spaces where we're always looking around the room. We're always reading, right? The context. We're high context people simply because we've had to be, right?
Hmm.
The context of our family, the cult family being much, maybe sometimes generational families, the cultures of home culture and outside culture, and then other, just all around us. So we're always reading. So I think we're always wondering too, like, what does it look like to show up here? And so I think in that there's this chameleon shapeshifter that emerges
Hmm.
that's familiar to many of us, which can be such a gift, but I think we lose ourselves in it.
Yeah.
So I think this idea that God he's not confused by us. He's
That's
not
good.
thrown off by us. He's not
Yeah.
fussed at even my chaos that I can feel inside. And I think in my in our journeys, I think that the starting place is that we are known by God.
Yeah.
So the psalm that kind of frames the book is Psalm 139.
Mhm.
And it's not just a feel good passage that we are just like, oh, I don't know, I need to feel good again. So I'm going to go back to that. That I recently preached on this. It offers a blueprint for our lives, the master plan.
Yeah.
It shows us he has searched us and he has known us. And so
Mm.
if that is where we begin, then
Yeah.
I don't have to be afraid of what I might discover.
Mm. Yeah. I love that beginning point, that we begin being known by God.
Mhm.
It's so powerful and transformative. And I got the chills just listening to you right now. um, yeah, just that somebody like that God himself
Mhm.
knew all the innermost parts of us,
Yeah.
even before we were in our mother's womb. It
Yes.
just blows my mind. Um, and how easily as leaders we or just humans, as we just go through life,
Mhm.
um, we learn to hide or
Yes.
we react by hiding
Mhm.
um,
Yes.
certain parts of ourselves, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
it's the human condition.
Yes. Yes.
Um, but how there's so much hope and grace,
Mm.
if we can remember
Yeah.
that God has always known us, that that was our starting
Mhm.
point. Um,
Mhm.
why, I'm curious, why you think, leaders especially, like why
Mm.
we're more prone maybe, or more
Mhm.
quick to hide.
Mm.
What do you think kind of prompts that within us, Christian leaders? Even though
Mhm.
we're Christian, we do that, we
Yeah.
do it. So
Oh, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I think that actually might be even more because we need to present ourselves, right? So we call it godly leadership. We might call it, we don't want to cause someone to stumble, right? And while
Yes,
those are true, I think when we don't know ourselves, we've all found a way to make it through the world, make it through life.
yes,
And so non-Christians, Christians, we use the phrase our coping mechanisms, right?
yes.
But I think it's our strategy. It's our
Mm,
way of being seen and it's our way of being known, right? I will achieve and I will shine. I will do well. If you can't love me or see me in this,
mhm,
you'll love and see me in my accomplishments or
mm,
in the way I follow God. I
yeah.
will do that. I will do that such with excellence. I will do that with excellence. I will follow God. with
Yes.
excellence. Like we take our cultural values and we transfer them into our faith, which in
Mm.
so many ways, right? We are to pursue excellence, right? That is scriptural. But when we make that our singular goal and we think God sees us and he values us more for what we do,
Yeah.
it just gets messy. It just gets a little messy in that space
Yeah.
because I began to think, oh, so my belonging then is based on what I do. So if I, and we don't often see like vulnerability modeled appropriate,
Right.
right? So it's either like, it's, we're not talking about show everybody your belly buttons. We're just saying like, let's be appropriate, right? I'm not asking for us to just air all of our sin or our struggles, but there's this appropriateness of like, I had a moment yesterday
Yeah.
and I'm so sorry I showed up and I I was scared. Scared I
Mm.
wouldn't you wouldn't like me.
Mm.
Just in the simplest, if we were to use, we say to kids, use your words, right?
Yes.
But instead of using our words that are clear, we mask it and we put self-importance and our self-protection is so incredible, right? We're so good.
We are.
We're armored up.
Yep.
And I think leaders in particular, because we don't know how to lead, we all want to be authentic leaders, right?
Yes.
But we don't know the journey. Authenticity is a fruit, I believe.
Yeah.
We don't just start out authentic,
Yeah.
right? So authentic is, I think, walking with God,
Yes.
letting him show us. So in my journey, it's been, Jen, I don't love you based on what you do.
Hmm.
When we decided to step out of senior leadership, I was at an age where people were like, you're the wrong person to be stepping out. You need to be ramping up. Like,
Oh,
this is your time. And
yeah.
I thought, no, it's actually the best time because I
Mm.
still have hopefully a long season ahead. And I have loved leadership, but I actually really love coming alongside leaders.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that, but letting go of that, right? What do you
Mm.
do when I don't have that leadership title? So we hold on to things.
Yes.
We think that's what makes us. We think that people love us because we're leaders, but I think people love us because of who we are and how we show up,
Yeah.
right? So I think part of it is modeling. We just need, we're all trying to figure it out. I love just, yeah, who God is raising up in these days to speak this kind of truth,
Mhm.
and to model out what it means to walk with Jesus, to walk in community, to know ourselves, to grow, and I think collectively we're afraid to stand out. So
Yeah.
I think if we were just going to sweep, I don't like broad sweeping statements, but here I am. Asian Americans, I think because we love being part of the group, it's hard to
Yes.
say, like I'm struggling with.
Hmm.
In my book, people have said, Jen, you're super vulnerable. And I thought, I don't know. I think I'm just trying to find words for what feels like the human experience. And
Mm.
it just happens to be
Yeah.
in the context of my story. But I think you have one. You and I have had such rich conversations around your story.
Yeah.
And we had it when we had dinner together, the four of us the other night. And I think the minute we begin to start to listen, we go, oh, I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Right. And that's silly how we would think that we were the only ones that struggled.
Yeah.
But we have such high standards of ourselves.
Hmm.
And I think as we get older and maybe the longer that we've been in leadership, we think we shouldn't struggle anymore with blank.
Yes. Yeah. We do. I think that sometimes,
Mhm.
but I've learned and it's interesting, but I've learned that the same struggle can come back around.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but the way I handle it looks different because hopefully I've grown
Yes.
wiser and become more
Hmm.
resilient and become more authentic, like you're saying.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so that I'm able to handle it in actually a more authentic way as well.
Yeah. Yes.
Um, and you know what I've experienced? I've experienced that the more I become my true self in God,
Hmm.
actually a lot more of my sides that I don't really get to show people end up coming out. Like with you,
Hmm.
your friendship is And the way we met, if you don't know, guys, like how Jen and I met, you have to check out our Khora launch webinar because it'll be in there. But Jen and I's friendship was pretty much a divine
Mhm.
connection and friendship. I feel like we should have been friends from birth.
Totally. Totally. I
Um,
agree.
but like Jen said the other day, we just met later in life, but I
Mhm.
feel like we've been soul friends and sisters for a long
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
But Jen brings out one of the sides that not a lot of people get to see, which is like this fun, quirky side, which I love about myself. You know, I
Mhm.
love being in skits and being funny and things like that. But I feel like when you meet somebody,
Yeah.
um, you know, who can bring these sides out of
Mm.
yourself, it's there's a story behind that too.
Yes. Yes.
And reasons why I've not been able to share that
Mhm.
side
Yeah.
until I met
That's
Jen,
right. Yeah.
you know? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and just yeah, what the exchange can do when you tell your story and when somebody listens.
Yes.
Yeah, and how you
Yeah.
transform through that process.
Mhm. And it
Yeah.
creates, like, I think the more we experience safety,
Yes.
right? So I think absolutely there's appropriateness in our leadership and where we share the things that we're going through and the questions that we're holding. For pastors, we can't just air that out everywhere, right?
Right.
But I think there has to be safe places for us to practice this,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And for us to feel heard,
Yeah.
because I think that then creates a capacity. We've
Yeah.
tasted it, right? I know what it feels like. So then we bring this into our spaces for
Mhm.
marketplace leaders
Yes.
and for ministry leaders. We bring it, and then it just becomes part of the water in which we swim and the communities that we live in. But we have to know it first.
Yeah.
Everyone likes the idea, community, authenticity.
Yes.
We like the idea of vulnerability, but we don't have practice. We don't have places to practice it, I think.
Yeah. That's so good. Yes, we like the idea of it, but we don't have places to practice it. Yes.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, okay, so in your book, what I love, one of the things you do is that you kind of take us through a storytelling process. So as we understand who we are through stories, we go
Hmm.
through some things, some phases,
Hmm.
if you
Hmm.
will.
Hmm.
Um, One of those sort of transitions we make is called what you call undoing moments.
Hmm.
And this is when we start to share our stories and we get to know ourselves better. But then we enter these undoing moments, and it can
Hmm.
feel a little bit uncomfy, maybe,
Hmm.
or maybe even painful. And I
Hmm.
would love for you to unpack that for us. Like, tell us a little bit about what undoing moments are, what might it
Mm.
feel like, maybe what it felt like for you a little bit, and what
Hmm.
can leaders sort of anticipate, um,
Yeah.
yeah, during these times.
I think that we, if we're honest, we have all experienced undoing moments.
Mhm.
Um, Maybe seasons of our life that feel like winter.
Yeah.
It's been described as the wall.
Mhm.
It's like you're going, and you slam into something you didn't know was even there, and you can't think or feel yourself out of it. Sometimes it can mask with really big emotions, like even show up as depression. It can show up as with depressive thoughts. It can feel dark. It can feel like wilderness.
Yeah.
And I think because we're so unrehearsed in this space, and I
Mm.
think as the church, we don't really know how to hold people at this wall, undoing wilderness, winter space. We're really good at saying five ways to follow Jesus, right? How to
Yeah.
keep your life vibrant, how to, how to.
Yes.
And we're so good at that. And yet this mysterious place of the wall where deep transformation happens. Where I believe, I mean, even just in nature, the soil itself, a seed falls into the soil, it is dark.
Oh, yeah.
Darkness is necessary for new life to come. It just is.
Mm,
But because we're so uncomfortable, and it's scary, it's so frightening, especially if you feel like you're the only person,
hmm
and we want to get out of it as fast as we can. Who wants to sit in a place of unknowing?
Yeah.
No, thank you, right? So tell me what I need to do. How many, I've met with so many people just say, just tell me how I can get out of it.
Mm,
And I think I get that. I totally get it because even the psalmist in 130, Psalm 139, 7 to 12, it says, if I said the darkness will cover me, it will
mm,
swallow me,
yeah.
right? And he says, even the darkness is light with you, God. Like
Mm,
darkness is not dark to you.
yeah.
That we long for light because we long for God.
Mm,
But I think we need to realize that darkness is not dark to God. And I'm not talking about maybe even a spiritual darkness or even, but I'm just saying, actually, I'm just saying God is, He is everywhere and He is with us, even in what might feel like, when I say spiritual darkness, it's not like our sin and we're running from God,
hmm
but these dry places where it's like, I have done everything I know to do, God.
Yeah.
I have followed you. I have pursued you with excellence and I have served you and I'm exhausted. And it may be a burnout season that you find yourself in. It may be an external crisis that's happened,
Yeah.
a death of a loved one, a broken
Mhm.
relationship, something, a major disappointment. Or it could be an internal crisis. My container that has held this theology or this stuff that I've
Yeah.
clung to is cracking and
Mhm.
I don't know where to go.
Mhm.
And I think we can't, one, do this on our own.
Mhm.
One, we need to remember that one, God is with us. And two, we need others alongside us.
Yeah.
I think in so many of the spiritual formation books that are out there, it talks often of just this vertical relationship we have with God, that our
Mhm.
souls are being formed, that we're made being conformed to the image of Christ. Yes. But
Yes.
I think as Asian Americans, the strength that we bring is this collective
Yeah.
spiritual formation journey that we're on. And when I look over and you reach your hand out, you say, Jen, I got you. I'm here for it.
Mhm.
I'll be here for it. I don't know how long winter will last, but
Yeah.
I'll be here for it.
Yeah.
Right? What would marriages turn out to be if we just said, we're here. I'm here for it. I'm uncomfy because you're uncomfy, but I'm gonna be here for it.
Yeah.
Families, and
Yeah.
then our communities, our churches,
Mhm.
teams that we work on, marketplace our workplaces and churches become these places where we can be with each
Mm.
other, that I don't have to fix you, you don't have to fix, I don't have even know what words to say to you
Mm.
for the questions that you have,
Yeah.
but I'm here
Mm.
and I can be here because I know that also God is here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think there is perhaps a more robust theology that's needed around suffering
Mm.
and around pain.
Yes.
I've heard so many people say, well, I turned out, right?
Yeah.
And I think, well, I don't know. No, I'm
Yep.
kidding. But I think this idea that it's more than just turning out, I don't know what that means,
Mhm.
but it is perhaps the discovery of God in
Mm.
those places and that new life will come.
Yeah.
There will be fruit.
Mhm.
You will be okay. And
Yeah.
I say that not in a trite little statement to make you feel better, but because I can add my faith to yours.
Yeah.
And to anyone who's listening, I would say, you will be okay because God is faithful and He has us. He
Mm.
loves us.
Yeah. God is faithful. We'll be okay. Yes, even in the most painful undoing moments, we'll
Mhm.
be okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what, I Gosh, every time I talk with you, I'm also processing like my own
Yeah,
leadership stuff.
yeah.
This is what Jen does because, you're so I feel like you're always wanting to follow what God wants you to be doing,
Mm,
saying. And so even over Zoom, I'm processing what the Spirit wants to teach
mm,
through this conversation. And
yeah.
um, as you were talking about undoing moments and the pain that sometimes that causes, and then how we can sort of kind of cover up um, these painful times because we want to hurry up. We want to hurry
Yes,
and
yes,
get through it, or
yeah,
just somebody fix this, and
yes,
because I need to get
yeah,
back to my normal
yes,
life or whatever.
yeah.
As Christians, I feel like we're especially good at doing that, because we have, like you said, we have some of these like fun phrases we like to use,
Hmm.
Christianese phrases we like to
Hmm.
use.
For sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
just pray about it, or um,
Hmm.
uh, God's in control. And like you said, these are all true and good things.
Hmm.
But I'm curious to hear from you. Do you think when we try to skip over, like literally skip over these moments of undoing, that we're
Hmm.
kind of abandoning our humanity? I don't know. I
Hmm.
just thought about that right now.
Mm,
Yeah. And that it's important for us not to do that. Like we're
yeah,
abandoning the human part of ourselves, and we're kind of,
yeah.
I don't know, almost putting ourselves on this false throne of,
Mm,
like you said, like, oh, everything will turn out well, like
yeah,
we got this, kind of thing. And
yeah.
coaching ourselves in these positive ways is good. But
Yes.
yeah, but curious to
Mm,
know if you think that is thinking that is tracking with you, or is, yeah.
yeah, I'm
Just-
with you, Yuli. I think that much of the world is in deep suffering and pain.
Mhm.
And I think when we get to experience, when we are honest about our experiences, I
Yeah.
think that there is a way. I think when I think about growing capacity, soul
Yeah.
capacity,
Yeah.
to be able to hold hard
Yeah.
requires a metabolizing of our own painful stories and our own grief. Because I think then what happens, the fruit, when we think about authenticity, it's authentic compassion that
Mhm.
emerges, it's authentic gratitude. There's
Yes.
a depth in our soul that's created. If we think about this, when you meet a deep person, you've
Mm.
known that they have traveled through deep waters.
Yeah.
And so when they say that God is good,
Yeah.
they say it not in like a triumphalistic, like quick way, but it has come from very deep places.
Yeah.
And that is said in faith. Like I say this, my our family, we've been through a lot. And, we were just at the oncologist last week. So it's this journey that continues to unfold. And I think it makes people feel uncomfy because they'd like the journey to be over, right? It's in remission, right? And I say, well, that's not what we're calling that. No doctor will ever say that about
Mm.
what's, you know, um, our situation. And so I have to find him in the middle
Mm.
daily.
Yeah.
And here's us off script, Yuli, and here's us showing up because this is what's happening. It's unfolding. I think as two people who love Jesus, two leaders show up and we give of our hearts. There's
Mhm.
this exchange and we get to sharpen one another.
Yeah.
And I am encouraged by your faith and your willingness to enter in. And something changes.
Yeah.
Like we can heal just in this conversation. And I hope for those of you listening, you can experience this too. You can heal.
Yeah.
That while we need professionals alongside us, we can't underestimate the gift of just the one another.
Yeah.
And I think this, as we to ignore the pain and grief would be to ignore resilience and how it was birthed, how we
Mm,
became who we are. I
yeah.
think some of us are afraid to talk about family
Hmm.
stuff because either we don't want to talk ill of mom and dad, and I totally am with you on that.
Hmm.
And it actually is not about mom and dad because it's about how it impacted us.
Mm,
And I think God, before we I mean, I think we hold both the light and the dark space. So there's the hard that formed us, made us who we are, right? Um, Gave us the tenacity that we have for life, and the resilience. And um, I think there's a superpower. We all love a good origin story, right? So everyone, we have one, um, how we became who we are. But I think when we ignore the hard places,
yeah.
I think we will then lack the depth
Mm,
that
yeah.
is needed.
Yeah.
And I think as we look at Gen Z, my kids, and then those who are coming up right behind them, I think, yeah, Gen Z wants authenticity.
Yeah.
They can smell smell fake from very far away. So for those of us leaders who are older, like this is our time to grow in it. We don't actually have a choice. We
Yeah.
want to come alongside next gen. We got
Yes.
to do the work.
Yeah. I love that challenge to us. And I love that Gen Z keeps us older leaders accountable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I know. It is a
Yeah.
challenge, people. I also have a Gen Z son, so we know what it's like.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So good. You used the word metabolizing, which I'm also big believer in leaders needing to
Mm.
metabolize and process um,
Yes.
the the pain and the hurt and just whatever part, any part of our story, the good parts, we
Yes.
need to process those things
Yes.
in order to become healthier leaders for,
Mm.
those around us, the Gen Z,
Yes.
Gen Alpha. I
Yes.
mean, gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the legacy we want to leave,
Absolutely.
right? Is a
Yeah.
healthy leadership legacy. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, in your book, in the next sort of journey of storytelling, you talk about, even though it's painful to go through these undoing
Hmm.
moments, you write that it's really important to harness the power of our story in order to
Mm.
experience what you call awakening.
Mm.
And my eyes just like got bigger, I feel like, when I said that word
Yeah.
awakening to who
Mm.
we are. And you touched upon this already here and there about, authentic joy, authentic gratitude, and
Hmm.
becoming more self-aware as well. And
Hmm.
I would love for you to share a little bit more about what you mean by that. Like what do you mean by harnessing the power of our story? Like what does it look
Mm.
like? Do we need to
Yeah.
do something as leaders to harness better?
Mm.
Yeah, tell us, Jen.
I think part of it, a big part is storytelling, but a more, I think, faithful storytelling that is telling the fuller picture. And we need others around us to
Yeah,
help us do that.
yeah.
I think just going back to like, I think leaders, what we don't realize is the things we say really have impact on people. And
Mhm.
so, how do we describe our leadership journey? Do we tell it where we were victims and unseen and we were just hurt? And while that is part, where are the parts where God, I think the harnessing is this like, how was God present to what was stirring in us?
Yeah.
So, because we might have experienced toxicity, what that because we don't just automatically become a nicer person. We don't. None of
Yeah.
us do.
Yeah.
So even though we might have this like aversion to toxicity, we may not realize how toxic we might be or how we pass that on to others. So just because we have good desires doesn't mean that there's change.
Oh,
Just
that's
because we learn something new, it doesn't mean transformation.
yes, yes.
So change and transformation happens when we want for something more.
Mm, mm,
So it's like, I don't I want to be a more spacious and generous leader. And that requires me to go, what makes me not, right? What makes me insecure? What kind of leaders do I feel triggered by?
Yeah.
I remember years ago, I was experienced a leader where they were quite, I just felt like they didn't want me to succeed.
Mhm.
So because they preferred me, um, if I would just, yeah, if I just didn't do well, they preferred that.
Ah,
And I think that you can, as a younger leader, you don't know what to, and as an Asian American, because it was um, a white leader, it was like, I don't know what to do with that. So
yeah,
my deference is strong, right? And I can shapeshift. I'll be less than, right?
yeah,
If who I am makes you uncomfy, then my personality will be like, I don't want to be too much because I don't want to make you uncomfortable and then jeopardize this.
right.
But so I can tell that story in that way, but I can also say like, wow, that what that turned is like, no, I want to be a spacious leader and I always want to believe in those I'm needing. So I kind of am an over. Like,
Yeah,
I so believe in you. I
yeah,
think you're amazing. I think you have gifts that you need to bring, and I'm going to work to come alongside you, and we're going to pull those gifts out.
yeah.
So I think the harnessing the power is that is letting and feeling the heart, which I have, and then letting God just then bring awakening where I'm like, I am free.
Mm,
While that was my experience, it isn't, I don't carry it as a burden,
yeah.
right? And I think I've processed that experience. So it is, it is now something that is a strength that
Yes,
I know what it's like to not have someone believe in you.
yes.
And I know what it's like to, um, yeah, to try and always measure
Mm,
myself. So I want to create spaces that are safe and honest, and where those that I lead can come to me and
yeah.
say, "Hey, that bothered me," or "Hey, could you explain what you meant by?" Or "I feel this." And even like with my own kids who are all adults now, I think they're coming to me and saying, "Hey, mom, like you know, that was really hard when," and
Mm,
and for me to just show up and be like, "Yeah, I'm really sorry." Sorry
yeah.
that I wasn't able to show up for you the way that I want to. And I'm grateful that we're having this conversation. And so I think the awakening is that, oh, I don't have to be perfect. And
Yeah.
the awakening is like even just embracing of my weaknesses and to not try and hide them. That we are one of a counselor that's been really important to us, says we're born more asleep than we know, and that life is about
Mm,
waking up to God and to ourselves and to those around us and the beauty.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I love that. I actually prefer that phrase because I've heard you use waking up to God, ourselves, and to others. I think I prefer that now over
mm,
self-awareness.
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's a phrase that we should keep repeating. Up to
Mm.
God, ourselves, and others. I think is yes, you should trademark that or something, or you and your counselor or your counselor friend. Um, but I was thinking that okay, waking up to ourselves and this awakening process.
Mm,
Is so fascinating to me because you said, waking up to our awakening is embracing our weaknesses.
mhm,
And when you said that, I thought about, yeah, awakening. I literally just thought of this right now. Awakening is, or could be, um, a way that we better respond. Like as leaders, we respond better. Um,
mm.
to receiving other people's stories and also telling our own stories. So,
Yes.
sometimes when we retell stories, if they're unprocessed, um,
Mhm,
the stories can sound like a complaint or like just there's a lot of bitterness attached to
Hmm.
it, or and and that's understandable because it's
Right.
unprocessed. Um,
Right.
but what it does to the person receiving the story is a
Yeah.
whole other thing. Like the person receiving it, because I've been on the receiving end of those,
Hmm.
it feels like the life is being drained out of me.
Yeah.
Um, because I'm also not knowing how to respond to this story. Like,
Right.
I'm thinking, should I become a counselor right now? Putting
Right.
my
Right.
therapist hat on, like I'm not quite sure.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, and like in some ways, that exchange is also necessary. Like,
Hmm.
it's great to find somebody who you can vent to,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
like, I do that with my best friend all the time.
Yes.
So, so that's a thing, and I know that that's normal. But I guess I'm speaking a little bit beyond that, like
Hmm.
in terms of, as leaders, especially, sometimes we do that dump of a story and we leave, and it
Yeah.
causes a an unnecessary burden on
Yes.
our employees.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
in our one-on-one
Hmm.
something, we start sharing something unnecessary.
Yes.
And yeah, I think it's thinking about like, how can I love this person better through a telling of a story?
Hmm.
And am I leaving them with more life, or
Yeah.
am I leaving them with less life, I guess,
Mm. Hmm.
is my takeaway from this.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
so good, Yuli. And I think that knowing that we have spaces, I think leaders need spaces to process,
Yeah.
right? We need spaces where it can come out a little raw.
Yeah.
And I think the gift of honestly spiritual direction and group spiritual direction is really good. I think someone to be able to hold that with you so it doesn't rest on just one singular person. And our responsibility isn't to fix, but it is just to be with. So I listened to story all day, and my daughter was asking me, like, how do you not let that burden you?
Yeah.
And I think I just have to like leave that with the Lord and just remember, God, you're there, right? You got this in the sense of like, it's not mine to hold. And as someone who looks for burdens to hold, like I just naturally just am a magnet for burden and I just I'm an empath and my mercy is probably my strongest gift. So I feel deeply and I feel the pain of the world really deeply. And if you're hurting, my tears will come, but I can't hold it. Only God can.
Mhm.
So that's one. We need people who will hold it with us. Two, leaders, to know how you come across is really important, which I think 360s are really, that's, I think evaluations are really important. How do people perceive and experience you?
Mhm.
What kind of leader are you? We are afraid to find out, but we need to know. I need to know if my people that I'm leading feel loved by me or they feel burdened by me.
Mhm.
Can they be honest? Am I helping them become better people?
Yeah.
We also don't realize like our own fears and insecurities and the anxieties that are the energy with which the way we show up. So we're afraid of failing or we need it to be perfect, which there are so many professions where that is absolutely necessary. However, the awareness that I have, like how I show up to someone. And even then, if let's say we might overshare to use that phrase. And then just to say, hey, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
That came out really quickly, and that is not yours to carry. I will say this often to people, like even to my kids, who are my some of my dearest friends. My young adult kids are amazing, and they are really good friends to me.
Mm.
But even there, I have to say to them, this is not yours to carry. And
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. You caught me in a moment, and I showed up, and um, and I think that it just allows us to just reset.
Yeah.
So it's not that we have to be perfect in every way we show up, but I think the awareness is helpful.
Yeah.
And and I think that as we practice that, as we're paying attention,
Mhm.
then it goes into just this, we'll find ourselves reshaped and
Yeah.
remade, right? So it's to that last point in the book of just like Yuli, where you're saying, like, I am changing and I am growing. And so we're showing up to one another different,
Yeah.
right? I am not the same person as I was 30 years ago when we got married. Thank you, God, that I'm not the same person. I know my
Right.
husband's saying that.
My husband too.
So it's like, I'm so grateful for God's transforming in my life. And I am so grateful that who I get to be in this season, while there is there is some grief over like how I have showed up, there
Mhm.
has to be the grace and compassion.
Yeah.
Because with what I know now, I can show up a little bit more healed,
Yeah.
right? This waking up is a journey. And I think there will be this when we're in heaven, we will see.
Mhm.
Scripture promises it. You know,
Mhm.
right now we see in part,
Mhm.
but one day we will see in full.
Yeah. Yeah. So beautiful, Jen. And I love that you touched on your last point of remaking and how transformative it is
Hmm.
to share with trusted individuals,
Hmm.
friends, just a community of people who can help you process, listen, not
Hmm.
fix. And that is the beauty of remaking. Even in this short conversation, I feel like I experienced remaking. It's like
Mm.
even though we talk all the time, Jen, and some of the, I read your book twice, but even in reading and exchanging stories that you share through your book with me as a reader, I'm continuing to be remade. It's like this
Mm.
continual process, even though you
Yes.
hear and read similar things. That's what scripture does
Yes,
with us as
absolutely.
well. God
Yeah.
uses, we could read the same verse yesterday
Hmm.
and today, but then today we are remade because we picked up something totally different. Um,
Yes.
from the spirit.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what um, your book is encouraging us about as well. And
Mm.
as we near the end of this webinar, I want to ask you if there is one thing you want leaders to remember from
Mm.
this book. I know that's really hard because everything about this book should be remembered. But
Mm.
if there's one thing you want Asian American Christian leaders to walk away with, what would that be?
Mm. I think I'd want to say to you that and you've heard this, and so I'm not the first person to tell you this, but that you are not alone
Mm.
and that God is with you. And I pray that you would experience God's presence more deeply. But also that you weren't meant to journey alone and you need others around you. I think that brings us to what our hope and prayer is for Core Collective, that we create a community. It's not anyone's agenda. This isn't this isn't any one person's. This is ours as an Asian American Christian leader family, a space that we're hoping to create where we can journey together, and together find language for this not prescriptive process, this very descriptive. So your journey will be different than mine, and God is giving you words for it. Share it.
Yeah.
What you have to say that's being cultivated in the depths of your being is worth being shared to the world.
Yes, amen. Well, Jen, I want to thank you so much for joining me today, sharing your wisdom, all of which, any one of you, if you are listening to this webinar, I want to highly encourage you to go on Amazon immediately and purchase Jen's book, Dim Sum and Faith: How Stories Form Our Souls. Um, I think it's available everywhere beyond Amazon.
Mm.
Yes, Jen
Mhm.
is nodding. But Jen, tell us where people can find you to connect with you further.
Mm.
Yeah.
So Instagram, Jen, Suen, Chen, and also at my website and at Core Collective.
Yay! So many places to connect with Jen. And if you get to, you are going to be one very blessed person. Um,
Thank
as we
you.
wrap up this Cora conversation, I also want to encourage you all to check out our new website. It's up and live at www.coracollective.com. And once you get there, you can find out more information about Khora Collective and just check out some of our resources, blogs, and you'll see some of the things that are coming up next for us. And if you especially loved spending time with us today, I want to encourage you to check out the cohort page on our website because we are launching two Khora cohort experiences in 2026. Both cohorts will start off with an in-person retreat in super fun locations. So if you are, and Jen is leading this whole thing. So you want to sign up because you want to spend time with this amazing woman. And so you can find out how to sign up on our website. We have, a little form for you to fill out. And I think that's it. I think we're wrapping up, folks. Oh, you know what? Lastly, you want to watch on our socials because we're going to announce the next Cora
Yes.
conversation and let you know all the details of when that's going to go live. You're not going to want to miss it in September. But until then, thanks everybody for joining. We'll see you next
Thank
time.
you.
Bye.
Bye.